everyone, it's Last Angry Geek, and we're going to do another vlog. This time it's Thor Ragnarok. I just saw it yesterday. Is it me? Whenever I see these films that have gotten such huge amounts of praise, I'm always left a little let down. It's a good film. I enjoyed it, but everyone's like raving about it and thinking, oh my god, this is finally the Thor movie we've been waiting for. And I don't know, the Thor movie I was waiting for was the first Thor, you know, where he gets banished to Earth and has to earn his way back and defeat Loki. I mean, that was the Thor film. I think my problem is I'm much more familiar with the source material. It's heavily based on Walt Simonson's run on the Mighty Thor, and it's also heavily based on Planet Hulk, which is a series I've read, and I think I reviewed the animated movie way back in the history of comic book issues. And both of those are really excellent stories, and you're kind of mashing them together. Like, let's start out with this mythological story and end with this mythological story, and in the middle, we're going to put this weird buddy cop gladiator space film. So I think this is a direct result of Guardians of the Galaxy being so popular and Thor 2 getting such bad reviews and bad kind of word of mouth. So they say, well, what's working right now? Well, the Guardians films are great, so let's put them in space. Let's amp up the humor. And the humor was a big issue. I don't want to say problem, but the humor was a big issue for me with this film. Let's break it down. Let's start with Thor. Chris Hemsworth. Oh, man. I think they made him too funny. And Thor's humor works best when, I feel, my opinions only, don't burn my house down. I feel Thor's humor works best when he's doing the fish out of water stuff and trying to relate to humans. Here, nobody is human. Nobody's going to get, well, Banner is. He won't have the same problems relating to them that he does with Earthlings. I think Thor is a more serious character. He's not Tony Stark. He shouldn't be, he's not Spider-Man. He's not the Guardians. It shouldn't be so much humor in the movie. And there was a lot of humor in this, and I don't think all of it worked. There were times I laughed. Don't get me wrong. I did think that taking the hammer away from Thor was good. Losing Mjolnir puts him off his game, and he's trying to recover from that for most of the movie until he finds he can channel the lightning himself. So that was a good move. If you're going to put Thor on the defensive, take away his security blankets, take away Dad with all his power, take away his right hand, take away the weapon that he's used that makes him comfortable and powerful. Loki, played by Tom Hiddleston, kind of felt like he was overshadowed, I guess. For instance, Hela was kind of like the same character as Loki was in the first movie, the evil character who cracks jokes. And like, well, we've got Loki, we don't need that. So, but then Loki was played a more selfish, kind of conniving character, more self-serving, backstabbing character, a worm tongue, if you will. If anything, he and Thor kind of reminded me of Bing and Bob in those Road to movies. If you go back into your comedy history, Bing Crosby, Bob Hope did that. Road to Utopia, Road to many of the other places that went to. Road to Utopia is the only one I've seen, but it's very good. But, you know, Bing would always be the kind of know-it-all leader, calm, cool, and that's kind of Loki in this film, whereas Bob Hope would stumble in, get into trouble, and have all the laughs, and that's Thor. And yes, Loki should be the cannier of the two. Loki should be the one spotting the angles, but again, I felt like so many funny characters kind of diluted what he was about, especially Hela. But we'll get to Hela in a bit. As I said in the first Thor film, my favorite parts there were not the action stuff, it was the family stuff between Odin and his two sons, between the two brothers interacting, and those are still my favorite moments in this film, when they're dealing with what's going on with Dad, when they're kind of talking to each other, and Thor says maybe Loki should not come back, and he kind of looks hurt for a moment. Though that's when the Thor Ragnarok film shines for me. It was when they do the personal stuff. Although I grant you, I think Loki's funniest moment was recognizing the Hulk and saying, I have to get out of here. Tom Hiddleston isn't bad in this movie. Nobody's bad in this film. I just don't feel like the characterization was on point. Tessa Thompson is Valkyrie. Okay, I know I just complained about humor, but that opening sequence where she comes in and gets so drunk she falls off the ramp, that made me laugh. I just don't know if I bought the serious stuff with her, where it's all about running from her pain, running from all her dead friends and the memories of Hela, and then kind of redeeming herself. I never felt like there was that one. She fights with Loki, and then all of a sudden, I'm in. I'm going to redeem myself. Like, that was kind of an about-face. There should have been that moment where we see the screw twist or the light turn on. We just see that change, and I don't feel like we got that, really. Her whole drinking problem was done more for laughs than pathos. I mean, they were trying to make her Woody Harrelson in the Hunger Games, and she wasn't pulling off that aspect. I did like the relationship with the Hulk, the big brother, little sister thing they had, where she kind of comes in and starts just sparring with him in fun, and he likes her and calls her Mad Woman, I think, or something like that. maybe I'm not making my point exactly right, but like I said, there were no bad performances, there were no bad characters. But it just didn't feel right to me. That's as best as I can explain it. For the story, Child Hulk worked. You know, when I say Child Hulk, I mean he had more of a child's mentality. Like, he got upset and panicked when he thought Thor was going to leave, you know, and then he's like, no, you are. Or like, you know, the childish fighting they had, that worked for the story. And then Banner kind of being the fish out of water and just completely freaked out, and Thor having to be the calming influence for once was kind of fun. I don't think it was the best Hulk movie I've ever seen, like some people have been saying, but yeah, Mark Ruffalo was fine. A nice callback to the Black Widow relationship in there. I would have liked to have seen maybe just more of a reaction to like that Hulk parade. Like, it's like, wait, they love him here? That could have been fun to play with. Idris Elba as Heimdall. Idris Elba is always good. I love that man. He's a great actor, but again, the characterization felt off in this one because Heimdall is supposed to be the blind know-it-all, and they have that moment where Thor contacts him and he kind of advises Thor on how to leave. So that works, but again, then he's the one running the rebellion, and that felt like it should have been Sif's job. But Jamie Alexander was filming The Blind Spot for NBC, and they couldn't get her out there to film anything, so unfortunately, that's why we don't see Sif, but they should have made some mention of it like they did for Jane to explain why she wasn't in this. There should have been a mention of Sif. Maybe I missed it, I don't know. But it did, that felt like it should have been her job, like leading the rebellion. She's the compassionate one. She's the one with heart. So if anyone's going to go around saving innocent people from this new tyrant, it would have been her. Not that Heimdall wouldn't, I guess. It wasn't completely out of character, but it did feel like they wrote that part for Sif and they gave it to him. Another big issue I had with this one was, let's call it 90s Batman movie syndrome, in that there were two villains. And it didn't need two villains. They should either be telling Planet Hulk with Thor or Ragnarok with Hulk. You either have Hela or you have the Grandmaster. But we had two villains, and Hela shows up at the beginning. We keep flashing back to, not flashing back, we keep cutting to Asgard to see what she's doing, and then she has the big finale. But she never feels like an omnipresent threat, because in the middle of it, we're dealing with the Grandmaster played by Jeff Goldblum. And let me make this perfectly clear, Jeff Goldblum was awesome in this role. He was great, funny, I really liked him. I like the whole, I'm searching for a word, and then his sidekick will say something. No, that's the wrong word. Why would you think that? I mean, I love the whole kind of neurotic, nouveau riche board ruler kind of thing he did, indulging himself, but also kind of feeling like he was misunderstood and that he could talk himself out of anything. I like that. When they said, oh, your cousin's here, I was really hoping for a minute we had the Collector from Guardians 1, you know. Let's start getting the Elders of the Universe in one film. He was... he was good. Jeff Goldblum was great in this. I like when Valkyrie kind of rubs his cheek and goes, oh. He was at his Goldblumiest, and it worked. P.S. The woman who played his sidekick was Rachel House, who voiced Grandma in Moana, and that caught me off guard. That was that wonderful grandmother character? Oh my god. But she was funny too. I can't remember the character's name, but that Rachel House was really good. Cate Blanchett. I really wanted I wanted this to be her role. Everyone was talking about Hela, how great Hela was. Hela should be an ice... Okay, again, I'm bringing my own comic book reader bias to this film. If you saw it and thought Hela was great, more power to you. But, in my mind, Hela's the queen of the underworld, queen of death. She should have been ice-cold rage. Instead, she's been imprisoned, exiled by her own father after helping him conquer 9 kingdoms, and she gets tossed aside, and she shows up and she's cracking jokes. Shouldn't you be mad? Outraged? Angry? No, they didn't go that route, and the Hela we got was okay. Cate Blanchett could certainly pull off humor, but again, we're seeing all these jokes coming from... Thor's making jokes, Valkyrie's making jokes, Hulk's making jokes, Loki's making jokes, and she's essentially playing Loki from the first Thor movie. I'm deadly, I'm a killer, but oh, I'm going to crack a smile and be charming about it. Not every villain in a Marvel movie has to be Loki or Ego. Of course, not every Marvel villain should be Malekith or Ronan. You know, we either have the quiet but deadly or the charming and funny. And that one obviously works better, so I can see why they put Hela in that category. But if anyone should be menacing, it should be Hela. I mean, when I saw those trailers... She was kind of looking like sad when she said, Odin is dead, you know, Asgard must die. You know, I thought more like Odin's death is just a natural thing. Maybe she doesn't relish being the goddess of death, but it's her job. It's what she has to do. But no, I mean, she was purely the revenge villain, and I'm going to overthrow everything. And again, Hela should have been an omnipresent threat in this movie, but she's kind of forgotten about for the middle part while we're doing Planet Hulk. We cut back. We see her align with Scourge. We see her resurrect her wolf and start killing people. And yeah, okay, killing people, large wolf, sidekick villain. Okay, those are all impressive moves, but she was never that much of a threat to Thor and Loki, and it's their movie, and we need to follow them and see them being threatened or feel the threat from her. Everyone's saying, no, don't fight her. Don't go back and fight her. You won't win. And it's like, how do you know that? Loki grabbed him and they ran the moment she showed up. There was never any fight. I mean, she destroys Mjolnir, sure. Kate Blanchett gives a good performance, but it's just drowned in the white noise of everyone else giving the same kind of performance. I see a lot of lost potential. I hope they bring Hela back, and I hope they do more with her. I hope they let her be more of, like I said, ice-cold rage, temptress, that kind of thing. Scourge, played by Karl Urban. This is the weird thing. As big a problem as I had with the main cast, the supporting cast in this was excellent. Goldblum. Blanchett needed work, but she was kind of a main character. Karl Urban as Scourge was great. You know, you just see him as this kind of minor character who just, he said, I want recognition, and he gets that recognition, but it's instantly unpalatable to him. He doesn't like what he's doing. He can tell that he's struggling with being her right hand, being this killer. I would have liked a few scenes where he enjoys the power, where he enjoys the recognition, and see him maybe struggle with the decision, but it's obvious from the start that he's not comfortable doing these things, but they take it to his kind of logical conclusion. They have him sacrificing himself with the guns. That's a famous scene from the Walt Simonson Thor run. So for, you know, a throwaway character in one movie, Scourge was well done. And Karl Urban's always good. Dread, Star Trek films, what have you. He's always excellent. So good job, Karl. You've done it again. Let's talk about the lack of Kat Dennings, Stellan Skarsgård, and Natalie Portman. I'm glad they at least acknowledged that she wasn't in this, that they gave her the throwaway line, but I will miss Team Thor. They kind of, that gave Thor someone to react off of and have the moments where he doesn't fit in, and the relationship between those Thor and Jane in the first two films was sweet. I liked it. I missed those characters. With them, the humor worked. With them, Thor had somebody to spar off of, but they don't necessarily work in this big kind of cosmic outer space epic. Rainbow. I really wish, if they're going to tell a Ragnarok story, tell the Ragnarok story, because Ragnarok is an amazing Norse legend. You've got Loki invading Asgard with a giant army on a big boat built out of dead people. You've got the gods all dying. You've got the giant wolf, which we had, and you've got the Midgard serpent eating its own tail around the planet Earth. I mean, dragons show up and burn everything down at the end. There was a lot you could do with Asgard just collapsing around them. Maybe they're trapped, they can't get out. And it becomes, you know, how do we rescue these people before the entire realm is destroyed? How do we fight off all these monsters and giants and elves and dragons that are coming in to kill us, you know? It could have been like a giant base under siege story. So it could have worked as Ragnarok, but... Or just throw Thor in space and have coming home. He went out to find the Infinity Stones. You could have had him in space. But then you can't use the Thor supporting cast that you've got waiting. So, I understand there were a lot of hard choices, and I think, again, if you haven't read the comics like I have, you're probably going to enjoy it a little more than I did. The Doctor Strange cameo was okay. Nothing wrong with Benedict Cumberbatch. And I saved the best for last. Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, because he was essentially playing two characters. He was playing Loki, pretending to be Odin, and there the humor works. There you see him reciting passages about his great love for Loki when they're watching this play. When he sees Thor's back, it's like, oh shit. He got to play two very different versions of Odin, and then when they find him, and he tells his sons, I'm dying, that I really would have liked to know why he was dying. It's just like, it would seem very arbitrary. It's like, hi Dad, I'm dying. Oh, what, this is the room all of a sudden? I have cancer. Never talked about it again. I'm dying. Nobody asks why. But he's dying, and that's going to bring Hela back, and he has this wonderful moment with his kids, and then he has the vision moments when Thor sees him again. And I thought Anthony Hopkins, this was probably his best time out as Odin. He did a really good job. He was funny, but he also had those serious, tender moments. And again, I'll say it again, the family moments in the Thor films are the best. Those are the best moments. Those are the ones that make me feel and make me happy to be watching this movie because I feel like I'm experiencing something. The main cast, for me, the characterizations didn't work as well as they could have. There was a little too much humor. The supporting cast was excellent, especially Anthony Hopkins, Karl Urban as well. Jeff Goldblum is so funny and so good in this. If you're like me, you may have problems with this movie. If you're not like me and you haven't read these stories, I think you're going to enjoy it a lot more. I'd say this is probably my second favorite Thor film. I still like the first one more. Personally, I'd probably give this about 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's it for now. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you back in a few weeks for Justice League. I feel like this is the one that's either going to make or break the DC Cinematic Universe. Until then, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek.